Good morning. This is First Light. You're listening to Parker Johnson, and I am Elsie Bee on the Pledge Radio. Joining me this morning, I have Ruth King. She is a profitability master and has written a book called The Ugly Truth About Cash. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about workplace piracy. Now, Ruth, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Elsie. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you.
So, Ruth, what inspired you to write this book?
I have worked with small businesses for close to 40 years now, and the most difficult and painful thing that I do is finding embezzlement in a company, and it is not fun. And I wrote the book so that people don't make the mistakes that some of my clients have made, and so that you can take precautions and use the ideas and suggestions in The Ugly Truth About Cash to be able to not have so many heartaches.
Yeah.
And it happens.
Yeah, and surprisingly, this is a very common issue.
Very much so. It's estimated that one of the associations has estimated that 7% of all revenues are embezzled every single year nationwide.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now, you talk about in your book the 99% and the 1% of theft. What is the difference between that? Can you unpack that concept for us?
Sure. It is my belief that most people are honest, and there's something that happens in their lives. A kid gets sick, a parent dies, they get a divorce, something that happens that they absolutely need money. And so they do something that they know is morally and ethically wrong. And quite frankly, small business owners make it easy for them to steal because they don't pay attention most of the time until something happens. It's like locking the barn door after the horse went out. And so these people steal once, they feel miserable about it. And then what happens is most of them don't do it again because they get rid of their cash flow problems. But there's some who okay, I didn't get caught, let me try this again. So that's the 99%. And then there's the 1% who are the professional embezzlers who do it for thrill. They do it to see whether they can get caught. You know, they have a perverse sense of pleasure, and they don't generally need the money. They do it for thrill. And it's a very, very small percentage of the population, but they're there.
Wow. And you say that there are different types of theft, 3 major types?
There are 3 major types. Obviously, there's the theft of money. There's also the theft of time. And there's the theft of things, like stuff, office supplies, which most people don't think twice about, and most owners don't think twice about. But, there's some, if you've got inventory in your shop and somebody actually, steals the inventory, that is, worse, in my book, than stealing a pen. Or just taking a pen because you forgot and you were walking out the door or something like that. But, there are people who steal inventory. There are people who steal tools. And you think about how many times is somebody on Facebook or somebody surfing the web on your time. That's a theft of time. And most small business owners put up with it. And put up with a certain amount of it. Obviously, they're going to pay them for it because it's pervasive in the industry. And then obviously, there's the thing of theft and theft of money, which everybody knows about, and that's what everybody focuses on, rather than the other 2 types of theft, which are also very prevalent.
We're chatting with Ruth King, Profitability Master. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation about the ugly truth about cash. Back in a moment.
You can't. That's what my daughter Kate told me when I said I wanted to make financials fun. The gauntlet was laid down. The red blanket was waved in front of the bowl. Ronan the Rubber Duck was born. This ebook is a whimsical look at financials from a duck's perspective. To get this fun, easy-to-read Kindle book, go to Amazon and search for Ronan the Rubber Duck Dives into Financials. That's RONAN, the Rubber Duck Dives into Financials. Let me know if I made financials fun for you.
You're listening to The Pledge Radio. This is First Light. Parker Johnson and I am Elsie Bee. We're chatting with Ruth King, Profitability Master, about this idea of workplace piracy and her book, The Ugly Truth About Cash. Ruth, what are some simple things that one could put into practice to help keep people honest in the workplace?
There are 2 very, very simple things to do. Number 1 is to send your bank statements home. So after you listen to this and after the show is over, and you haven't sent your bank statements home, call your banker and tell them to send your bank statements home. You can see absolutely everything that's going on with your account, and your bookkeeper knows that you're looking at that particular point. And so they're less likely to just, write a check to themselves because they know you're actually going to see it. If they're the ones balancing the checkbook and you never look at the checkbook, it's easy. I had a small business owner who got embezzled, I think it was $130,000, simply because he wasn't paying attention. Over 3 years, his bookkeeper stole $130,000 just by blatantly writing checks.
Wow.
So send your bank statements home, which is really easy to do. It takes you 5 minutes to look at your statements. And the cool part is you find out who bounced checks, whether payments are late, and all the other things that go on with your account. That's number one. Number two is, unless your wife is your bookkeeper, never, ever, ever give your bookkeeper check signing authority. Because if you do and she writes a check, it's not considered a felony because you gave her permission to write any check that she wanted.
Wow.
Those are the two easy things. Those are really easy to do. Take no time to do it. Just, get it done.
What have you found, Ruth, are some of the most creative ways to steal?
The most creative way I've seen to steal is somebody changed QuickBooks financial statements. And what they ended up doing is, how you have like auto expenses and you have gas and maintenance and everything under there? Well, those subtotals didn't match the total at the bottom. And so that person you had to think about this and creatively think about it. It was the most ingenious way I've ever seen somebody steal. Is they stole, I think, about $150,000 over a 3-year period simply because nobody bothers to check. And, I didn't until then either. You think if QuickBooks adds everything up correctly. Well, guess what? In this particular case, they didn't. They had changed it. And they knew enough accounting and knew enough about software to be able to change the numbers. And that was the most creative way I've ever seen somebody steal.
We're chatting with Ruth King, Profitability Master, about workplace piracy. We'll be back again in a moment on the Pledge Radio.
Do you ever have warranty leak issues? One of Ruth King's clients did about 4 years ago. Thousands of dollars in expense and unhappy customers. She solved this problem for him, though. How? With a leak letter that every customer must sign when a service technician discovers a refrigerant leak. Once they implemented the letter, there were no more warranty leak headaches. No warranty leak callbacks. Happier customers. The surprising result was more replacement sales, too. To get a copy of the leak letter for free, just send Ruth an email at ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. That's ruthking@hvacchannel.tv.
Good morning. This is First Light, Parker Johnson, and I am Elsie Bee. We are talking about money, losing money, something that, nobody wants to have happen, especially if you are a small business owner. We're chatting with Ruth King, who is a profitability master. She's written the book, The Ugly Truth About Cash and Workplace Piracy. Ruth, what are some everyday things that people steal from businesses, whether they realize it or not?
Most of the time, it's office supplies and time. They'll just think nothing about surfing the web on company time. They're paying you, you figure that it's there, or they're chatting on the phone with friends during work time. And sometimes they'll just take extra Cokes or something like that if you have food or something in a break room and just take them home for their kids. And I've seen that happen too. So, at that particular point, you put a cash machine, a vending machine in there rather than giving out free Cokes, and that stops immediately. But those are the types of things. It's not meant to be mean, cruel, rotten, and things like that. The things that really get people are when they steal the cash. Mm-hmm. And when a bookkeeper, if you have a really good bookkeeper and all of a sudden she just up and leaves one day and you never hear from her again, one of two things has happened. Either she's stolen enough or she can't steal. Because your processes are too good. And I go through all the processes in The Ugly Truth About Cash that you can actually put in place. The easy one is to send your bank statements home, as we've talked about. But you can also make sure on your P&Ls and your balance sheets that you print out an aging receivables report every month. Make sure that it matches the amount on your balance sheet. Same thing with aging payables. And if they don't, then that's one way that they steal very easily. The other way, if you're using QuickBooks, is with undeposited funds. Shows that the customer is paid, but it hasn't been deposited in your checkbook yet. They'll just deposit the funds somewhere else.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, Ruth, how would you suggest that someone handle time theft? Spending time on the internet, texting, talking, seems like, what's the corporate policy on that? Is there
Policy.
flexibility? Yeah. How do you go about that?
You as a small business owners have to say, all right, I'm willing to put up with an hour a day, half hour a day, whatever else it is. And you make that very, very clear. Now, there are times that people get all the work done that they needed to get done for you for that particular day, or they're meeting all their job requirements. And so at that particular point, they're bored. Either, do they not have enough to do? And if they don't have enough to do, is that job really a full-time job, or is it a part-time job? Or can you give them more responsibility so that they don't have time to do those things? But you just bring it out in the open and say, look, I know you're going to surf the web. I know you're going to talk to your family. I know this. Do not make it so that it impacts your job. And if it starts impacting your job and you're not getting your work done, we'll have to have a conversation about it. And you just bring it out in the open, because people are going to do it. It's just part of what we do, and we accept it. Yeah, but it is theft of time.
Right. So just being honest and upfront about it. No, laying the expectations in advance helps curb some of that.
And then if they're doing it a lot, are they not busy enough? Is there enough work for them to be doing for their job description? And if there's not, find something else for them to do. Get them productive.
Ruth King, Profitability Manager. Ruth, tell us how we can learn more and how can we pick up your book?
The book is available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle, and it's available on Audible. If you want a personally autographed copy, you can just give me a call at 770-729-8000, and we can take your order there, too.
Sounds good. Ruth, thanks for your time. Awesome information. Super helpful. Take care. God bless.
Thank you, Elsie.